Hi everyone and welcome to Lipstick on a Rig. Today we're going to be making this very simple ornament coaster. And this coaster is part of our four-skein challenge where we see how many different projects we can make using only 4 skeins of yarn. So if you're interested in the other Christmas related videos in this challenge, please check the links in the description because I will have them listed down there. And for this coaster, I'm going to be working with size 4 medium weight acrylic yarn, and these are both the Big Twist value brands, and the colors are black and cream. And I'll also be using a size F or 5 or 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. And we're going to begin with our cream colored yarn, and we're going to tie a magic circle. So we're going to drape our tail over our working yarn, insert our crochet hook in that loop, switch hands, and then just yarn over and pull through the loop. And we're going to place 13 double crochets inside our magic circle, and it's important when you're placing these stitches that you place them over your tail. So go ahead and place 13 double crochets inside the magic circle. And once you have your 13 double crochets inside your magic circle, then go ahead and pull on your tail to tighten that gap. And I am not going to work over my tail because I'm going to use it to attach my ornament to my coaster. And from here, we're going to skip our first double crochet right here. And it might be a little tough to see. And we're going to slip stitch into the top of our second double crochet stitch. And we're going to chain 2. And we're going to place 2 double crochets in each stitch in our row. And that does include this first stitch where we've already worked. So go ahead and place 2 double crochets in each stitch in your row, and when you get done, you should have a total of 24 double crochet stitches. And at the end of the row, you're going to skip your slip stitch and your chain 2, and you're going to slip stitch into the top of your first double crochet stitch. And to finish our ornament off, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to place 1 single crochet in our first 4 stitches. And the first stitch is the stitch where you've already worked. And we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we're going to place 1 single crochet in those 4 stitches in our row. And we're just going to cut and tie off our yarn. And I am going to move my tail from that edge up 1 stitch in the back of my ornament. And I just find this makes a cleaner look. And now we're going to set our ornament to the side, and we're going to create the coasters. And you want to use your black yarn to create the 2 coaster sides, but I am going to show you how to do this with the cream colored yarn because I find it's a lot easier to see. But you're going to want to use your black yarn for this portion. So we're going to begin with a magic circle, and we're going to place 13 double crochets inside of it. And once you have your 13 double crochets in place, you're going to pull on your tail to tighten that gap again. And I would normally work over my tail, but I'm not going to do that this time. So we're going to skip our first double crochet, and you might not even be able to see it because it gets kind of hidden here. We're going to work in our second double crochet, and we're going to place a slip stitch. So if you count around, you should have 12 double crochets now. From here, I'm going to chain 2 and place 2 double crochets in each stitch in my row. And that does include this first stitch where we placed our slip stitch. So when you get to the end of your row, you should have a total of 24 double crochets. And at the end of your row, make sure you skip your slip stitch as well as your chain 2. And we're going to place a slip stitch in the top of our first double crochet stitch. For our next row, we are going to chain 2 and place 1 double crochet back in that first stitch where we placed our slip stitch. Then we're going to place 2 double crochets in our next stitch. And we're just going to continue to alternate between placing 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets in every stitch in our row. And when we get to the end of our row, we should have a total of 36 double crochet stitches. And when you get to the end of your row, you are going to skip your slip stitch in your chain 2, and then you're going to slip stitch into the top of your first double crochet stitch. And for our last row, we're going to chain 2 again and place 1 double crochet in our first 2 stitches. And again, this first stitch is where we placed our slip stitch. 1, 2. And we're going to place 2 double crochets in our next stitch. And that is going to be our pattern for the entire row. So we're going to place 1 double crochet in our next 2 stitches and then 2 double crochets in our third stitch. And we're just going to repeat that around the row. And when we get done, we should have a total of 48 double crochet stitches. And at the end of our row, we are going to skip our slip stitch and our chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first double crochet stitch. And from here, we are going to cut and tie off our yarn. And now we are just going to repeat this again. So go ahead and repeat this exactly. And now that you've created your 2 coaster halves, go ahead and decide which side you want to have facing out and attach your ornament to one of those sides. And I am just using my tails to secure my ornament in place. And I am just going to sew with my tails and my crochet hook. And once you've secured your ornament to your coaster, go ahead and line the 2 wrong sides of your coaster up like this. And working with our cream colored yarn, we are going to attach the yarn to our crochet hook using a slip knot. And so for this portion, we're just going to insert our crochet hook in any available stitch. It doesn't matter where. But I'm actually going to start somewhere at the bottom, so I like the way that looks a little bit more. And then the same thing goes for this other side of your coaster. So you're just going to insert your crochet hook in any stitch. And now we're just going to single crochet our edges together. So to do that, yarn over and pull up through both stitches, and then yarn over and drop your 2 loops. And you're just going to repeat that process of single crocheting your stitches together, going all the way around your row. And just make sure that you're not skipping any stitches on either side. And I like to tuck my tails in between these 2 coaster halves. And that kind of keeps them hidden. And once you've made it back around to your first stitch, then you're just going to slip stitch into the top of it. And from here, we're going to cut and tie off our yarn. And now we just need to tuck this tail on the inside in between our coaster layers. And now you are done with your ornament coaster. Please let me know in the comments below if you experienced any issues while you were making this, and I will do my best to help you out. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, Lipstick on a Rig. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.